All right, so getting ready for our practice. So just coming into that comfortable, easy seat, whatever that is for you, as we do before we begin any of our physical movement, at least in my classes anyway. We'll take a couple minutes here to tuning in really to our body, tuning into just maybe a little bit of the deeper part of ourself, the part that doesn't really involve labels, roles that we play in life or perform. You know, it's really just our deepest sense of self. And of course, sometimes it takes a while to find it, right? Because it gets clouded with all the things, right? The thoughts, the ideas, whatever. But tuning into the breath helps to cultivate that sense of mindfulness, that present moment awareness. And that helps us to disconnect from all the external stimuli around us and tune in more to our deeper self. So floating those eyelids closed if they're not already. Start to take some longer, smooth breaths. And just do a gentle mind scan of your body in this moment, just noticing if there's any area that you might be feeling some tension, maybe the neck and the shoulders. You can go ahead and draw the shoulders up towards your ears and roll them back and down. If you need to make adjustments to your sitting to balance out your seat, feel free to just gently find a comfortable spot. And settling in for a few more moments. Noticing the subtle movement in your body as you breathe. You can feel the chest and even the rib cage rise and fall. You may also feel a sort of broadening across the body, around your body. And then bring your awareness to your spine. And you feel the tailbone maybe down near the sitting bones. And then just bring your mind's eye up through the spinal column. And then tuning back into that subtle movement as you breathe. See if you can notice your spine changing, right? Are there any changes in the spine as you breathe? Do you feel any lengthening, contracting? It's very subtle. You may not be able to feel it, but sometimes just sort of picturing it in your mind can be helpful. And while this can be challenging to stay focused on these subtleties, the more you practice it, the easier it gets, just like anything else. And there's other stuff going on when we practice this mindfulness. Right? There are lots of studies, a plethora of studies that show how mindfulness helps us to reduce stress, helps us to lead a more compassionate life. Not to mention sharpening our awareness muscles. So just a few more breaths here. And then we'll bring our hands together in front of our hearts, asking yourself, why did you come to your mat this morning? Setting an intention for practice. And then wherever you are in your breath, exhale out. Take as big a deep breath in as you can through your nose, filling up all the way, and then exhaling, releasing it out. Blinking, open your eyes if they're closed. We'll keep our hands together today. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Lengthen through the spine in the arms. Exhale, we'll bring the hands back down. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bring it down. And then one more time. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, bring those hands back down. Release it out. Yeah. All right. So we're going to come out of the seated position. You can go ahead and just uncross your legs, but keep your knees bent and bring the soles of your feet down on the mat. And just lean back a little bit. We'll do some gentle windshield wipers. And let each leg work independently, kind of, you know, they don't have to be like in unison. Typically, the range of motion varies in each hip. So just explore what's going on each side of the body. We're really just starting to lube up a little bit, lube up the joints. So our leg bones move in all kinds of directions in the hip socket. And so here we're mostly focusing on a little internal and external rotation. There's a little flexion going on. And then we're going to come back to the center. And we're going to come into a seated figure 4. So we'll still keep those knees bent. Let's go ahead and cross that right ankle over the left thigh. You know, you might be feeling a little tight still, right? So just kind of ease your way into that. Remember to keep the foot of the cross leg active. And then you can even do just a little gentle side to side motion here. And then as you start to feel things open up, if you want to go a little deeper, you can bring your chest and your legs closer together. And then I kind of fell into this move earlier this week when I was planning my classes for this week. It felt really good. So I was like, I'm going to share this, see if everybody else likes it. So we're going to add a little twist. So keeping the figure 4 shape, just come back to the center for a moment. Okay, so you're going to just twist your legs over to your left. So the sole of your right foot will go down to the floor if you can get it there. Keep the figure 4 shape, and then lift your chest and turn your torso the opposite direction, right? So we have that little twist. So try to create almost like a little back bend in your upper back. Pull the shoulders back, lift the ribs and the chest. And then come back to the center. And then plant your hands firmly down behind you. Your fingers can be, so bring your legs back to the center too. Yeah, back to figure 4. Plant your hands, plant your foot, and then lift your hips up. And then lower it down. Good. All right, uncross, and you can just straighten out your legs for a moment. Give them a little shake. And then let's go through that sequence on the other side. So figure 4, seated, crossing the left ankle over the right thigh, flexing that foot, right? And again, we're working with the other hip. So ease your way into that. You can start with those gentle little rocks from side to side. And then maybe going a little deeper, bringing the chest and the legs closer together just to get a little more stretch. All right, and then let's bring it back, bring those legs back to the center, and then twisting to the right. So that left foot comes down onto the floor. You make any adjustments you need to, lift the chest and turn your torso slightly in the opposite direction. So the more you can lift that chest and pull your shoulders back, the bigger the stretch you're going to get. Okay, and then release that, bring your legs back to the center and make sure everything's planted down, you feel nice and firm, and then lift those hips up. Great, and then slowly lower back down. We'll uncross the legs, give them a little windshield wiper. And then let's bring the legs to stillness. That was real quick. Palms will come together, forearms come together, interlace your fingers, and then just do the little wrist rolls. And then go the other way. So just getting into those wrist joints a little bit. All right, and then release that out. And then let's make our way to all fours. Come into tabletop. Doing a few cat-cows here. Inhale, drop the belly down towards the floor. Exhale, round the spine. Move with your breath through a few more rounds here. Let's go for one more here. One more cow, one more cat. Stretch it out, round out that back. And then come back to neutral. Nice. We're going to lower down onto our forearms. And then walk your knees back several inches. So we're essentially coming into a forearm plank, right? So kneeling plank. So we want to avoid letting the belly drop down. We want to avoid sticking the butt up a lot. Okay, so find that sort of diagonal position with the torso and the thighs. Root down through your arms. Take a breath in. And then exhale, round your spine a little bit. So draw your belly in. And then you're going to inhale and release that. So just go back to your neutral, right? Exhale, round, pull the belly in, push down through your elbows, and then inhale, release. So just do this a few more times. Really fire up your abdominals. And then as an added bonus this morning, you can do the same movement with your knees hovering off the mat, just an inch or two, and that will up it a little bit more, up that intensity. So your knees are still a little bent here, but they're just hovering off the floor. Go for two more if you added the knee lift. Nice. All right, and then when you're finished, if those knees are up, lower them down. We're gonna widen out the knees quite a bit, touch the big toes and sink back to child's pose. Tune into your breath. Arms where they're comfortable. Take one more breath here. And then we're going to creep those hands out. So if your arms are bent, go ahead and straighten them. Reach your fingers to the top of your mat. Stretch it out as long as you can. And then inhale, let's roll up and come into a kneeling plank with hands on the ground. So if your knees are out real wide, as I asked, go ahead and bring them in a little bit closer together. We'll bend those elbows lower down. Bring your arms by your side, palms face down. Let's inhale, lift up to a little locust pose here. So arms are off the ground. And then lower down. Bend the elbows, hands come next to the ribs. Push up to a kneeling or a high plank. And then go back to your down dog. Okay, move around any way that feels right for you in your downward facing dog. Pedaling out the heels, swiveling the heels side to side, bending the knees, straightening the legs, lifting the legs. What sort of down dog tricks would your body enjoy in this moment? And maybe it's not no movement, right? Maybe it's stillness. All right. And then if you are moving, find stillness, root down through your heels, lift the hips high, stretching out through the arms, but being careful not to hyperextend your elbows. So gripping the mat with your fingers and moving your forearms energetically or isometrically towards the middle space, the midline will help to soften up those elbows. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, step those feet up to the top of your mat. We'll come into a half lift. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse. Let's reach those arms up, coming up to tall mountain, and then exhaling to mountain pose. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, swan dive it down, forward fold. Inhaling, half lift. Exhale, keep your right foot where it is. Step your left foot back into a low runner's lunge. Plant your left hand down. Inhale, reach your right arm up, coming into a nice twisting lunge. On an exhale, unwind from that twist. Bring that right hand to the ground. If you're using a block, ditch it, and then step back to a plank. Inhale. Exhale, bend those elbows, lower down. This time, let's take a cobra pose. Inhale, lift that chest. And then exhale, lift those hips back to your downward facing dog. Take a nice full breath in and a full breath out. So we're going to step forward with the right foot. Take as big a step as you can. Step up with the left foot. Come to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, mountain pose. Inhale, tall mountain. Exhale, hinge from those hips. Swan dive down, forward fold. Inhaling, half lift. Exhale, fold. Keep your left foot at the top of the mat. Step back with your right foot coming into that low runner's lunge. And then adding your twist on this side, reaching that left arm up. Engage your back leg. Draw the shoulders away from your ears. And then let's lower that hand down. We'll step back to our plank. Inhale. Exhale, lower down, bending those elbows. Inhale, lift that heart, cobra or maybe an up dog. And then exhale back, downward facing dog. So take a breath or two here. Settle in, remember that intention, remember why you came to yoga this morning. And then left foot will step up first. So take as big a step as you can with that left foot. Bring it up to the top of the mat. And then the right foot, come into a half lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive, arms reaching up. Exhale, mountain pose. Inhale, tall mountain. Exhale, hinge from those hips. Swan dive down, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step back to your plank. Bend the elbows, lower halfway for chaturanga or all the way down. Inhale, lift that heart. And then exhale, lift those hips, downward facing dog. Good. Take a full breath in, full breath out. And then let's inhale that right leg high. And then exhale, bring that foot to the top of the mat. Plant your back heel down. Inhale, rise up to a warrior one. We're going to pause in this warrior one for a moment. So make sure your hips are square towards the top of your mat, the front of the room. And then let's inhale and lift those ribs, lift the chest and gaze up. So creating that space in the front of the body. Keep the back leg energized and active. Good. Then on your next inhale, start to open out, make your way to a warrior two. Adjusting your stance as needed. Leveling out those hips. Good. And let's flip the palms, settle the shoulders down, and then flip the palms back. Yeah. Pausing here. Good. And we're going to take that left arm, the one that's behind us, and swing it around to face the front. Shorten up your stance and come into a runner's lunge. So the stance is a little bit shorter because we're going to transition to a balance pose from here. Okay. So find your drishti, your gaze point off in the distance, typically on the floor, helps us stay a little more balanced. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, start to hinge over. You can stay right here or go ahead and take off onto that right leg, lifting your left leg up behind you, coming into your Vira three. So we did warrior one, warrior two, warrior three. Okay, little challenge in the transition as an option. Start to come up to standing, pulling that left knee up in front of you instead of tapping down with that foot. If you need to tap down, no big deal. See what you can do this morning. Good. We'll bring our hands together in front of our hearts for a moment, keeping that left knee lifted to hip height. Good. Flex the foot. And then we're going to cross that ankle over the thigh and have a little seat in our standing balancing pigeon pose, standing figure 4, whatever you want to call it. Add any additional things that you want to deepen the stretch. You can hinge over, stretch those arms out, press your hips back. You can work on bringing those hands to the floor to even deepen the stretch more. You can work on bringing your shin to the backs of your arms. When you are finished, we're going to meet in mountain pose. So wherever you are, you can stay there for a couple more breaths. And then we'll transition back to both feet on the ground. Coming back to home base. Felt that this morning. All right, let's inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, swan dive down, forward fold. Inhaling, come into a half lift. Exhaling, we'll plant those hands. Go ahead and make your way back to plank or chaturanga. Flow through any way that works this morning. Meeting in downward facing dog. Full breath in. Exhale it out. Let's take that left leg high to the sky. Inhale. Exhale, bring that foot to the top of the mat. Transitioning up to a warrior 1. Settling down through the shoulders. Just working on squaring those hips up towards the top of the mat. Right, so we want to keep that spine nice and healthy. So rather than having the feet necessarily, sometimes if you have your feet on a tightrope, it's harder to get the hip alignment. So if you separate your feet out left to right, right to left, have a wider base of support, that's typically a little better for, especially for women, because our hips are, you know, our hips. All right, so we're going to lift the heart, open up the chest towards the sky, breathe, keep the back leg active. And then on our next inhale, let's open it out and make our way to warrior 2. Leveling out the hips, keeping that front knee aligned over the ankle, settling down through the shoulders. And then today, just bring awareness to your feet on this side. See if you can lift up your toes, both feet. Lift up the toes on both feet. Let the feet do the work, the toes assist. When you lift your toes, you might feel those arches, those inner arches lift up a little bit. Release the toes down. Take one more breath here. And then transitioning to warrior 3, slow, right? We're going slow. So back arm comes around, turn to face the front, shorten up your stance so those hips can follow you. You can take your arms up overhead for a moment in a high runner's lunge. And then we'll bring the hands down in front of the heart to start here. I think I went backwards. Oh, well, we'll bring those arms back up. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, start to hinge over that front leg. Stay here or work on transitioning into that nice, strong warrior 3. The lifted leg is active. The foot of the lifted leg is flexed. Pull your toes up like you did when they were on the floor. Breathe. And then transitioning to the knee up, slowly start to lift up. Bring that knee up. That's where we brought the hands down. I knew it was somewhere. All right, so keeping that knee up, flex the foot. Use something to help with balance if you need it. Cross the ankle over. Sink your hips back. Right, staying here. You're possibly exploring getting a little deeper, right? Abdominals draw in, hinge over a little more. You can reach your arms forward as you press your hips back. Your torso is roughly parallel to the ceiling, the floor, however you look at it. You can play around with bringing hands to the ground. Bringing the shin to the backs of the arms. When you're finished, when you've had enough, bring yourself back to mountain pose, shake it out a little bit. Whew. All right. I'm gonna kick out that stress. Just get it out. All right, and then we're back at the top of our mats, mountain pose. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale it out. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, swan dive down, forward fold. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, plant those hands, make your way back to plank, lower down to chaturanga or all the way through. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. One more time, full breath in and out. Inhaling, lift your right leg high. Exhale, sweep it through, bringing it to the top of the mat. We're gonna come back into a warrior one. So plant that back heel down. We'll rise up to that warrior one. Good, and once you feel stable and grounded, lift that chest, open up that heart again. And then this time, let's pull the elbows down, goalpost arms, but draw the elbows back in space if you can. You need to lower your elbows more to do that. Sometimes that makes it a little more accessible in the shoulder joint. All right, so expanding that heart center area, the chest muscles, the shoulders, in front. Good. And then we're going to take those hands behind our back. You can hold onto your forearms, shorten up your stance and straighten both legs. Now here, definitely make sure you are not on a tightrope. Have your feet about hip width apart, side by side, and then with the one foot in front of the other, 2 feet, something like that for pyramid pose. Feel free to do reverse namaste, okay? Inhale, lift the chest like we did in the warrior one. Exhale, hinge over. Soften and breathe. Use any support that you need to, but if you can keep those hands behind your back today, that does help to engage your core a little bit more. Your abdominal and back muscles have to work a little harder. Let's do your hips, really. Take one more breath here. And then depending on how far you fold it over, align your torso so that's parallel to the floor and bring your arms by your side, palms down. So just have them right next to your torso, energize through your fingers. And then if you need a block for a revolved half moon, grab it. Otherwise, we're just going to place that left hand down on the floor under our shoulder, bring your right hand to your hip, and slowly start to rotate to your right. You can reach your right arm up to the sky if you're feeling grounded. So keep your front leg straight. We're stretching the legs. So shorten your stance, Christine. Yeah, you can use your block there. Good. Right, so revolved pyramid, both legs straight. We'll feel, you'll feel those tight spots here. No two ways about it. So your back foot's planted firmly on the mat. Yeah, that's it. Good. Okay, now, as an option, if you want to go deeper, take that bottom hand and bring it to the outside of your foot. Re-lengthen the spine and breathe. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, unwind and just gently soften your front leg and fold your torso over your leg. You can bend the knee even more if you need to. All right, so we're going to transition to standing balance pose again, but we're going to stay bent over here. So use blocks if you need them. You're going to walk your hands out in front of you. You're going to take all the weight into that right foot and lift that left leg up again. And then taking a revolved pyramid today. So left hand stays underneath the shoulder. I'm sorry, revolved half moon. Bring your right hand onto your hip and then rotate your torso to the right again and reach that right arm up to the sky. So big balance challenge here. Feel free to use the back of a chair, a block. Yes, good. Keep your lifted leg really fired up. You're almost there. One more breath. And then you're going to unwind as you exhale. Bend your standing leg, walk your hands back, low runner's lunge. And then step and sweep that right leg up behind you. Open that hip out. Ah, draw some circles here with your knee to just loosen up that right hip. Do what feels right. If you want to flip your dog, feel free to flip your dog. Press those hips up if you flip your dog, or you can just stay either in a tabletop with that hip open or knee circles, right? Or you can also do that in a down dog. And then if you flipped over, bring it back around, take your vinyasa, and we're gonna meet in downward facing dog. Nice work. Hello hips, hippie hips, happy hips. All right, yeah, and if you wanna grab a quick sip, feel free. You can take a little break there and then meet up in down dog. Ah, definitely a good plan. All right, so here we go. Downward facing dog, you've got this. Inhale, lift the left leg high. Exhale, bring that foot to the top of the mat. Plant your back heel down and come up to a warrior one. Okay, make sure you feel grounded. Lift that chest like we did before. And then let's pull those elbows down to goalpost arms, goddess arms, whatever. Draw the elbows back, yeah. And remember, if this is feeling too much, just drop your elbows and pull back. That might feel better. Couple more breaths here. All right, and then we're gonna take the arms behind our back. So grab your forearms or take that reverse prayer. We're gonna straighten the front leg, step the back foot forward a little bit so that we can set up for pyramid pose. Good, inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, hinge over, coming into that forward bend. Nice deep breaths. All right, so ideally here, our chest is directly centered over our legs. Our hips are square and level to the front of the room, the top of the mat, however you look at that. Right, so it's not like a triangle, it's more closed to the front of the body. That helps to keep our spine in a good spot. Okay, on your next inhale, lift up about halfway if you're really folded over. Release your arms so that they're by your sides, palms facing down. So you're hinging over and then setting up for just the revolved pyramid pose. So the right hand will come down roughly under the shoulder. You can have your fingers tented or on a block, right? Left hand on your hip, rotate your torso to the left and then reach that left arm up to the sky. So you're actually turning, yep, good. So getting that twisting action in our revolved pyramid pose. All right, if you want to go deeper, the hand comes across the leg. Re-lengthen the spine and really fire up the back leg and press that back foot down into the mat. Good, just another breath or two, and then you're going to slowly release and fold over your front leg. Fold over your front leg, good. Even soften or bend that knee if you need to. Let's get a little release there. And then we're going to work on the balance portion of this, right? The revolved half moon pose. So block can be definitely helpful here. It'll be in your right hand. Now remember with this one, we do not cross over the leg for this one. That both hands move forward. As you shift your weight forward and lift that back leg up, your shoulders line up over your wrists. And then you can start your rotation to your left. So you're turning towards that front leg, direction of the front leg. Lifted leg is fired up. Push through your heel. Nice. Okay, unwind and come into a low runner's lunge. So bend the standing leg, float that right foot back, and then sweep that left leg back, down dog split. You can also come into a tabletop and just stretch that leg out behind you. Knee circles to lube up that hip. You can do a hip opener in your down dog. You can flip your dog, pressing those hips up if you go over. Yes, open up that front body again. And then you can bring it back around, take a vinyasa, take a break, grab some water, whatever you need. Awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and if you are not in down dog, no, I'm sorry, if you are in down dog, come out of it, sorry. And then we're gonna come to a seated position. If you can sit in kneeling, do that. If not, sit cross-legged or whatever is comfortable for you, all right? Okay, just pausing here, we'll take our arms by our side. Let's inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And then exhale, take a twist to your right. Just a nice, easy twist here. Inhale, come back to the center. And then twist to the other side as you exhale. Inhale back to the center. Exhale, bring those hands down. Great. Then we're going to make our way to tabletop. Hands under shoulders, knees under the hips. Fire up your abdominals. Take your right leg out behind you, lift it in the air. Take your left arm out in front of you, lift it in the air. Good, so opposite arm and leg. Bend your elbow, bring your arm out to the side. Bend your knee, bring your knee out to the side, little bird dog. And then go ahead and straighten them back, front to back. And then bend them again, pull them out. And then straighten them front to back. And then bend again. And then let's go one more time, straighten it. And bend. Awesome. Straighten it out before lowering down. And reset. Left leg comes out behind us. Right arm comes out in front of us. Bend the arm, bring the elbow out to the side. Bend the knee, bring it out to the side. Try and keep it lifted up. And then straighten it front to back. Bend it again, bring them out to the side. Try and keep them up. Straighten front to back. Tight abs as we bend it again, bring it out to the side. And extend it long, front to back. Let's go one more. Bring it out to the side. Awesome. Front to back. Lower down. And then just take a nice, easy child's pose, whatever feels good for you. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. When you're ready, roll yourself up and we'll come to seated with our legs in front. So lifting back up out of your child's pose, making your way to seated, and let's just find a staff pose here to start. And just kind of move a little bit once you're there and make sure you got those sitting bones rooting down into the earth. Yeah, and we'll bring our hands next to us, draw the toes back, lift the chest. Just take a couple breaths here. Okay, so from here, let's bend the knees. And then we're gonna just grab a hold of the backs of the thighs, lean back and lift up to a half boat pose. So really fire up those belly muscles. You can let go of those legs for more. And we did stretch those hamstrings a little bit. So maybe today, maybe we can get those legs a little straighter. Hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Just in time. Feet come down. Hug your knees, lengthen through the spine. Inhale. Good. Exhale. All right. So let's take those hands behind us. So we did that like figure 4 with the hip lift earlier. Let's just do it with both feet on the ground. And you can do reverse tabletop or reverse plank. So reverse tabletop, knees are bent. Reverse plank, legs are straight. Okay. If your knees are bent, bring your feet about hip width apart. Make sure your hands feel grounded, and you can turn your hands out if that feels better. Okay. When you are ready, lift those hips up, draw the shoulders back, regardless of whether your legs are straight or bent. Lift those hips up, draw your shoulders back. Staying here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice work. Slowly lower it down. If your wrists need a little release, you can bring those forearms together, interlace those fingers, and take that little wrist roll. All right, so release that out. We're gonna bring the soles of the feet together, coming into our bound angle pose. Now, a lot of us benefit from bolstering the hips up on this one. So if that's something that you typically do, I would recommend popping something underneath your sitting bones. We'll inhale, lengthen the spine, and then exhale, hinge over to deepen. Okay, and then on an inhale, slowly come back up. Good. Let's bring the soles of the feet onto the ground. And bring your feet in close enough and your knees in close enough so that you can put your triceps on your knees. Triceps on your knees, yeah. And then just turn your palms up towards the sky. And then start to walk your feet in a little bit closer. Lean back and see if you can rock your feet up off the floor, come into a seated crow. Yeah, touching your toes or your feet actually helps you make that core connection. Fire up the belly so your arms are still on your knees, right? You got it. So you just did a crow pose, just sat down. One more breath here, and then we'll release it out. Okay, good job. Release those legs, shake it out, whatever feels good. All right. And then in some way, we're gonna make our way to Malasana pose. So you can come to all fours, you can come to a down dog, however you need to. You can bring those feet out to the outside edges of your mat. You can come into more of a sumo squat, or you can go down lower into Malasana. So we're getting that deeper hip stretch, inner thigh opening here. Paying attention to the connection between our legs and our arms. So we want to pull the knees in towards the triceps. So plug them in, right? Fire up your belly muscles to focus on that connection. And you can stay here and just be in Malasana. It's a yoga pose. It has great benefits for us. Or if you want to work on your arm balance crow, balancing on your hands, you can take that option today. Yogi's choice, right? If you're going to do the crow, hands will come down in front of you. You will need to lose the connection between your legs and your arms briefly while you get those hips up, and then you can reconnect as you work on that arm balance. So I'll give you guys a moment or two to work on that if that's where you're going. Okay. Good. So avoid looking at your feet. Yeah, look down in between your hands. Nice. Good, Christine, that looks great. I got 2 Christines today, one online and one in person. Yeah, if you try bringing your feet closer together on the mat, yeah, and be up on your toes. Yeah, and then avoid looking at the toes, look straight ahead or even forward. Yeah, that's it. Nice. All right, my yogis at home, you can come to a standing forward fold, and if you want to play around a little bit, that's fine. Or we can all just come to the standing forward fold. I would recommend having your feet further apart here. Let your upper body hang loose. In fact, you can even just sort of Just kind of skim your fingers on the mat, on the floor, little figure eights as you just move your torso side to side, nice and easy. And then make your way back to the middle. And then let's walk those hands forward. We'll step back to a plank. So wherever you are on your mat, just depends on where you are. Find a plank. Good. Tighten up your legs, tighten up your abs. We're going to hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower all the way down onto your mat, all the way down, everything down. Bring your arms by your side, palms down. Take a moment here. You can just rest. And then setting up for locust pose. Engage your leg muscles, fire them up. And then let's inhale, lift the chest, lift the arms, lift your feet. But remember, stretch your legs, stretch them. Taking one more breath before lowering down. Turning your head to one side and relaxing. And then turn your head to the other side and just rest there for a couple more breaths. Good, and then bring your head back to the center. Bend your arms, bring your hands next to your ribs on the mat. Push up. Come to tabletop. Then let's come to seated. And then we're gonna roll down onto our backs. Let's come down onto our backs. So take your arms out by your side, gently windshield wiper your knees. So kind of like what we did when we were sitting in the beginning of class here. Let each leg kind of move independently of the other. And then we'll bring the knees back to the center. Draw your right knee into your chest, extend your left leg long. Moving into a twist, you can take your right arm out to the side. Bring that right leg across your body, resting your foot on your leg, the floor, a block, a pillow. And then let's inhale, unwind. Come back onto your back, pulling that right knee into your chest once again. And then switching legs. Left knee will come in, right leg will extend long. And then taking that twist on the other side. Relaxing your torso. And then inhaling, we'll unwind from that twist. Draw that left knee back into the chest. Draw the right knee into your chest. So we've got both knees coming into the chest. Rock side to side, massaging out that back. And then from here, it's really a yogi's choice. So perhaps you would like to take your legs up in the air or do a happy baby pose, waterfall pose, a shoulder stand, you know, whatever floats your boat. It's almost the weekend. Notice your breathing in the pose. Taking just a few more breaths before transitioning out of your pose. Remember, if you're coming out of shoulder stand, you want to really engage your abdominal muscles and contract your inner thighs like you're trying to squeeze them together. That will help you lower down with integrity. And then if you had your legs up for waterfall pose, of course, you can just bring those feet down. And then it may feel good to stretch the front of the hips a little bit here. So if you have that block underneath you, you can extend your legs long with the block underneath you to release your psoas muscles, in particular, the hip flexor, one of the main hip flexors, right? You can also just slide your hands or your fists underneath your butt so that your hips are lifted a little bit more. Let your legs relax here. Let them relax. Good. And then we're going to release out of that as we transition into the bestest pose of all, that Shavasana. So get yourself comfortable, layer up, eye pillows, blankets, whatever you need. We'll just let those legs relax. And coming into that stillness once again. Tuning into your breathing, but letting it happen, trying your best not to control it. So hard. And once again, start to deepen your breath. Bringing more energy back into your body, start to slowly reawaken. Wiggling your fingers and your toes. Rolling your wrists and your ankles. Bending your arms and your legs. Draw your knees to your chest. Give yourself a hug. A nice stretch for that low back. And then roll to your side. Just pausing there for a moment. Let your body get back into balance. And then bring yourself up to seated, coming back up to seated on your mat. Bring our hands in front of our hearts, closing our eyes, feeling the effects of our practice, acknowledging that you've done something really good for yourself today. Acknowledging and expressing gratitude to your body and your mind for helping you to do so. Thank you so much for coming today, whether online or in person. Let's take a big breath together in through the nose, exhaling it out. And then bowing to ourselves and each other, honoring the light within all of us. Namaste. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. Have a happy Mother's Day. We do have our regular classes. So if you're feeling like you want to get some yoga in on Mother's Day, you got Scott at 8 and Andy at 9:30. So either one of those will be great options. Have a great day. Enjoy your time.
Bye, Laura. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.